Want to call to order the meeting of the Rutherford County Public Safety Committee meeting for Wednesday, December the 18th, 2024. Good evening to you. Good to have each and every one of you here this evening. This is, I guess, what we call our Christmas meeting, and I thought tonight I'd just bring a tree with me we put up here. We actually found a golden bell out here on the floor, so I don't know if Santa Claus has already been by. It does clang, so we believe. So I put it on the tree up here for you. If somebody has lost their bell, it's up here. So we have it here tonight. We'll begin with the approval of our minutes, and I'll call on my vice chairman out here for those minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. I've reviewed minutes, found no issues. Unless somebody objects, I approve as mailed, or make the motion to approve as mailed.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? The minutes have been approved. Do we have any public comments? Yes, sir. No public comments, so we'll move right into our business this evening, and it begins with PAWS and report. We'll ask that Michael Gregory will not be here this evening. He's dealing with the flu. In fact, he has a family, that's a family of 5, and 3 of them have the flu. So we have you tonight. Yes. Just introduce yourself to these folks.
Okay.
I believe you have the report, and I think you have a grant to talk about too.
Yes. I'm Dr. Debrina Dills from Rutherford County PAWS. Michael asked me to submit this report for our month of November. We took in 365 animals. Our euthanasia rate was 7.5%, with a live release rate for dogs of 86.7%, and for cats, 94.6%. 206 of the reclaimed animals were from our surgery program. Our officers ran 1,100 calls and traveled 6,240 miles. For year to date, we've taken in 2,085 animals with a live release rate of 91.4%. Our officers ran 5,547 calls and traveled 37,285 miles. Okay. For our rabies exposure and bite report, there were 38 bites reported. 1 was tested and did not test positive. There were 2 other exposures. None were tested, so none were positive. And then our chart just shows the graph for the intake and outcome of animals for the month of November. And then for our grant.
Let's prove your report first and move that away.
Okay.
Any questions on the report anyone might have? You might want to use your microphone.
I was just saying we didn't get the other 2 reports as usual.
The graphs.
Okay.
Rabies report, do we have that one? The bite report? Just could you repeat it? Because we usually have it to read along.
Okay, and I'll let Michael know to forward that
It's
on.
not a rabies report on here.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, I don't think there.
This is for November. We've had 38 animals bites reported. We did test 1. It tested negative for rabies. And there were 2 other exposures, none tested.
Not on our.
Okay, I'll make sure Michael sends that.
Okay, anything else?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Second, right over here. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Your report has been approved, so now the grant that, I think this is a grant that they asked about in the beginning about applying for. Now I think you've got some answers for us.
Yes, so Michael reached out to Chairman Reed and P because of the quick turnaround for the deadline for application. It's the ASPCA National Shelter Initiative Grant. He was asking for $20,000. He said this evening that he was just notified a couple of days ago that we would possibly be approved for $6,000. There is no county match for the funds. We would like to ask for permission to approve the application and acceptance to use the funds. The funds would be used for free rabies vaccines for members of the public and emergency vet vouchers for the public as well.
Questions?
I have a couple. We've already approved the application for the grant, correct?
Do the 20, did we approve to go ahead on the 20? And I think he's found out that we're going to get 6. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
So how certain are you, because you said you think we may get 6.
He said to me this evening that we've been approved for $6,000.
Okay.
We haven't
That's what-
received any funds, but that's why he's asking permission.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that.
Yep,
Match.
no match.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Further discussion?
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray? Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James? Yes. Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Okay. Thank you. OSHA? Ed Elam. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. So for the month of November, in your OSHA report, you'll see there was 22 incidences. Year-to-date, 252. Total recordables, 197. Lost day claims, 41. Restricted day claims, 131. Other recordables, 25. On the job injuries, you'll see there's 252 compared to 2023, 217, and 2022, 167. On the job injury incurred dollars, you see 1.6 million compared to 2023, 764,000, compared to 2022, 599. And the cause of injuries where they were, Board of Education 14, County General 8, none at the highway. And on the County General, 1 EMS, 1 Fire and Rescue, 5 at the Sheriff's Department, 1 solid waste. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments, or a motion? Motion to
Second.
approve. Second. Further discussion? In favor, say aye. Those opposed?
Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Same to you, sir. Recovery Court. Bill Ricks. Evening.
Good evening. Here's the Recovery Court report for November. We have a current total census of 194. We had 6 new and 4 graduations in November. As of today, we have 60 people in our drug court program with 48 applications pending. In our DUI court, we have 23 in our day and 23 in our night with 25 applications pending. Mental health court has 69 current participants and 43 applications pending. We have lifted the wait list for that program. And in our veterans court, we have 21 current participants with 7 applications pending. And we also had 0 terminations, unsuccessful terminations for the month of November. And that concludes my report.
Questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second. For discussion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, report has been approved. I believe you have a budget amendment and then a TCAT agreement,
Yes.
whichever one you wish to do first.
I'm going to do the budget amendment for the reentry program. This amendment is being requested for the fiscal year 25 grant award for the reentry program to align with the state's Fourth Amendment to the evidence-based jail program that we have. The original grant started in September of 2021. Fiscal year has been adjusted due to the timing of the new educational building that won't start until July the 1st, 2025, and will be funded by this grant in fiscal year 26 at the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. This grant will expand programs and classes. This is year 3 of this grant, and the period of performance has also been extended until June 30th of 2027. This is a no-match grant, and we're asking that the mayor be able to sign this grant as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherino?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Thought you said Beverly. Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Thank you.
Approved. Your next one?
We have a special industry agreement with our current SAMHSA grant that we were just awarded for the recovery court. We wanted to put in place an agreement with the Tennessee College of Applied Technology. They're going to come and do 4 classes, which is HVAC, electrical, cosmetology, and OSHA. For our participants, they will do 10 participants yearly. That will be funded by the grant that will go through their certification programs. And the agreement is in your files. We just needed approval.
Heard the request. Questions is, did I see in here, what, 15,000?
Yes, so that's going to be a yearly cost that they quoted, which is actually less than what we had put in for the grant.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. Further discussion. Call the roll.
Commissioner Beverly? Yes. Commissioner McMurray? Yes. Commissioner Sherino?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Has been approved.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Probation?
Sarah Smith, Assistant Director of Probation. For the month of November, we actively supervised 1,447 clients. We terminated 176 cases on 155 clients. In our various classes and programs, we had a total of 72 participants. 25 successfully completed their programs and 2 were discharged unsuccessfully. We assisted 13 people with clothing and/or food from our Olive Branch program and received 3 donations from the community during the month. In the 10 Rocks program in General Sessions Court, we had 18 active participants and 1 was discharged unsuccessfully. During the month of November, we sent $15,156 to the clerk's office to be collected on a payment agreement for a fiscal year total of $66,818 sent for collections. Also, for the month, we were unable to send $6,254 for collections, bringing that fiscal year total to $31,530. We supervised 11 clients that the court has previously deemed indigent. That is my report for November.
Commissioners, you've heard the report.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second. Have a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good Christmas.
Correctional Work Center. Senator William Cope.
Good evening. First, in your packet, you'll see our minutes from our December 2nd meeting. Second thing in there would be our 2024-2025 work release program. That program is going great as usual. Next is our yearly activity report. Population's up a little bit, but that's normal this time of year. Next is the litter pickup report. Total trash collected on county and state routes are as followed. County roads, county trash collected 5,521 pounds, and then on state routes, 488 bags were collected. Next is our 2024 monthly report, worker report from November, showing a total combined savings of $59,648 used in resident labor within the county. And last is our CQI stats, or continuous quality improvement stats, from our medical department. And one more thing, I'd just like to thank Commissioner Rather for coming out and spending the afternoon with me and my staff and speaking to some of our residents. They really, really appreciated that, our residents and our staff did, seeing you there and spending time with you, and just want you to know that everybody appreciated that. And that is the end of my report.
Okay, sir. Any questions for the superintendent?
Before we vote, I do want to respond. I have never seen, I'm a clean freak, like I wash my truck 2 or 3 times a day because unlimited washes. That was the cleanest place I've ever seen. And beyond that, the environment, I met with a lot of staff going through there. And even, I don't want to call them inmates, I'm going to call them residents, smiles, and to me, it seemed like a very clean, well-structured, positive environment from the residents to the staff, and that can only come from one place, and that's leadership.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else? Or a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Report has been approved.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir. Same to you. Juvenile detention?
Good evening. Before you, you have our monthly report for November. There are a couple of, maybe 3 items that I'd like to point out of interest. On the first page, the yearly activity report. The counties at the bottom are going to be, checks are going to be coming. It's because our meeting was at a different time of the month, and we're not particularly concerned about not receiving those checks yet. Following that report is going to be our minutes for our board, November board, followed by the usual information that you're used to seeing on the rap sheet. This month is the first month since a law change that we were able to have a full month of STD stats. There had been, at the beginning of the fiscal year, some changes to a law that the health department wanted to try to make sure that they were following it correctly. So we had to suspend the STD program for a couple of months, but we were back on track with it. We tested 22 young people for the month of November, and as you can see, we had about a 4.5% positivity rate for that month. And the other item that I wanted to bring up is going to be on the educational side of the facility. We have, for the fiscal year 24-25, the school year, we did have in the month of November a young man who was able to complete his high school requirements while he was with us and will be receiving his diploma. Beyond that, I will happily answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments? Ms. Duke?
Move to approve.
To approve, and a second over here. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Your report has been approved.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Emergency Services and Public Safety Report. Director Chris Clark. Good evening, sir.
Chairman, committee, hopefully in front of you, you've had our monthly report from November the 1st to November the 30th. I know you probably hadn't had time to read it, but one of the outstanding things is we've done a lot of working with other agencies to develop incident action plans for special events, heighten our awareness of things going on. So that was one thing I wanted to contribute. And then our call numbers for our communication center continues to around the 4,800 mark in calls received. Keep in mind, we're a secondary PSAP that receives 911 call for medical. That's my report.
Commissioners?
Chairman. Director, we've talked about this in the past, that there are certain things that are kind of sensitive information about public safety. Can you, or would you, give us each individually, if this is appropriate, about radios in the schools, where we are on that? I don't, again, that's pretty sensitive.
So as far as our public safety and our radios, while our fire marshal goes and does their inspections, they check those out. I haven't received any reports of major failures at all. In fact, we've had pretty good success. Have they identified a couple of hot, bad spots in those? But for the most part, I have not received anything that's a failure from any of the buildings except for small segments of those buildings. We have a pretty robust radio system. Could we do a little more? Probably, with the schools putting in my terms, repeaters or PDAs in those schools. But we've had a pretty good success, and Josh has done a pretty good job in going through some of those schools and looking at that.
Oliver, did you make the motion? Can't.
I apologize for not using my microphone. No, I needed a few minutes to read the report, so
Okay.
Commissioner Rather's question did allow me to do that, so I'm ready for a motion. I'll make it. Motion to approve.
All right. Thank you. We have the motion. Do we have a second? Second. In favor, say aye. Those opposed?
Merry Christmas.
Has been approved. All right, Emergency Medical Service, Brian Gaither.
The report in front of you is our report for November. We had 3,890 calls, 14 hospital transfers, had 164 deaths for the month. 25 of those went for autopsies at a cost of $62,500. We collected $1,186,355. Last couple of months, I've been mentioning that those numbers were down because of a Medicare issue, so we're finally starting to see some catch up there. The next page, some in-services training and community relations events. The convalescent division did 379 calls, collected 127,936. And the next few pages is that more detailed report of, calls by unit and calls by zip codes. 116 times this month, a unit responded to the north end of the county. That wasn't one of those north end trucks. And then some letters from Vanderbilt Lifelight on some cases that we use their services on. And that's my report.
Heard the report. Questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The report has been approved. I believe you have 2 budget amendments.
Yes, sir. We're asking to decrease line item 133 by $300,000 and add it to line item 169, which is part-time payroll. We usually do this every year. Part-time it's a guess on how we budget that from the start, but due to vacancies and numerous FMLA, we've covered those spots with part-time.
Heard the request.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Thank you.
Has been approved. I believe you have one more.
Second one is to recognize the grant for $35,000 from the Garrison East Foundation. We're going to utilize those funds to replace the ceramic plates in our bulletproof vests that are on our ambulances.
Move to approve.
Approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes,
Thank y'all.
has been approved.
Chair, and we had, I think it was last year, we moved forward to look at the geotechnical work for, I guess, a forensic center and another station out in Smyrna. Does anybody have an update on that? Well, that and the additional ambulance station out on Weekly Lane in Smyrna. Have we gotten the work back? Or we submitted for geotechnical work to be done at the Smyrna site for another ambulance station. It just, we're seeing it now increase to 4 times a day on average. I just didn't know where we were on that project.
Yeah, you said that was 116 times,
Yes,
an
sir.
additional to the units already there. Yeah.
It was 116 times that a unit went to that end of the county that wasn't the 4 trucks that are on that end, correct? I do know those, I don't know exactly where we are with that. I do know those discussions have been happening, but I don't know if any of that site work has been completed or even initiated.
It's all being, it's still under, the architectural work is still being completed. They've got a lot of that done, but there still is a lot of things that has to be put involved into it. And they're still working on it at this time.
I just didn't know where we were.
It's becoming closer.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
It's there.
Thank you.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Fire and Rescue. Charlie.
Evening. For the last month, well, for the month of November, we had 720 calls. That was down from previous months of 900. Year-to-date, we've run 8,541 calls. We had a total, including the volunteer departments in Eagleville, we run 76 structure fires, 126 brush fires, 121 illegal burns, 114 vehicle fires, 64 hazmats, 22 water rescues, 1,018 MVAs. We have 30 extrications in those, out of that 1,018 MVAs. We ran 53 mutual aid calls, and then 141 fire alarms and 4,571 medical calls, for a total of 9,365 calls year-to-date, January through November. The next page is the structures that were damaged by fire that I turn into the codes department. Page is covering the fire arson investigation unit and what those outcomes were and the cause of them. For alarm installations for the month of November. And then the last page is the illegal burn report. That concludes my report.
In the report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Approve. And a second. Further discussion. Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I've got an email I want to read to you, and I called this gentleman and asked his permission to be able to read it to y'all tonight. And this is just a small example of what our guys do each and every day. Our guys and gals do each and every day, day in, day out. He said, "Hello, my name is Mike Truesdale, originally from Las Casas, Tennessee. Bill Truesdale, my father, started the Las Casas Volunteer Fire Department decades ago on the same parcel of the land the current firehouse stands. I'm reaching out to highlight the extraordinary effort, response, and professionalism Fire Station 53 provided during a call on November 17, 2024. The responding team is listed below: Captain Tyler Ruiz, Anthony Bowles, Andy Barnett, Ethan Hassel. This team responded to a call at 5533 Lofton Road, where my 82-year-old mother had fallen in the bathroom, opening up a significant gash in her head. The injury was significant enough that once transferred to Smyrna Hospital, the doctors couldn't stop the bleeding and contemplating air flying her to Nashville. The team, led by Tyler Ruiz, efficiently and effectively provided the required care to stabilize my mother before transporting her by ambulance. The amount of blood from a head wound was significant, so the responding team stayed and cleaned up the blood so my mother wouldn't have to see it upon her release from the hospital. They thoroughly cleaned that bathroom. She spent 2 weeks in the hospital and is receiving home services. This wasn't just a fall and a bump on the head. This isn't the only time the team at Fire Station 53 has made to my mother's house. She has significant health issues and limited mobility. The group from the fire station has always been extremely responsive, compassionate, and shown a great deal of professionalism during each and every call. My father passed away many years ago. He passed seeing the fire department he helped start the evolution of what is today. He would have been very proud of this group. I firmly believe the team led by Tyler should be acknowledged for their efforts. This team always goes above and beyond on every call related to my family and has turned into a valuable part of the community, just like when it was the last Kansas Volunteer Fire Department started. Please do what you can to provide special recognition on behalf of my whole family, the Truesdales, or let me know who I need to speak with. Sincerely, Michael Truesdale. And like I say, that's just a small example of what my guys do every day, and I'm very proud of it. So, thank you, and I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Very good. Before you sit down, Chief, just want to say thank you for the awards program the other night. And that's, we saw that of the guys there and the work that they do out here.
The guy in the car trapped in the middle of that river was pretty. Surrounded by water, and the water is probably, 50? Got in a raft and floated down to the truck and managed to ride to the truck, got the patient out of the truck, in the car, in the boat, and got them back to safety. And we do that. And when it comes to
Impressed my grandson. Thank you. Sheriff's Office report.
Good evening. This morning's population was 972. This afternoon, 971. Updates on our openings in our divisions. Communication has 7 openings. Detectives has 5 openings. Detention has 30 openings with 11 scheduled to start next month. Narcotics has 4 openings. School resource officers has 3 openings. Patrol has 12 openings with 8 scheduled to start in January. We just found out this week we're losing 5 deputies from patrol. 3 are going to Tennessee Highway Patrol, and 2 are going to the private sector. In their years' experience, it ranges from 3 years to 20 years. That's the end of my report.
Questions on the report or comments? Motion.
You say you're losing 5?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're already, I guess, maybe how much notice did you have and plans for replacing them? What's being posted? Just kind of an idea.
They're respectful. They're giving us a 2 weeks notice, but we're continuing interviewing due to the openings at the sheriff's office.
Chief, when someone applies, and I know this has been talked about in months and probably several years in the past, it takes a long time, more than probably should, to get them qualified and get them hired. Is that process, the time shrinking, or is it the same, or is it growing?
Yes, we're trying to speed it up. We used to hold on to them till they had an orientation. As soon as they finished their background check, requirements, medical and psychologicals, we're onboarding them to go ahead and shadow divisions, ride with patrol officers, and then we take them in orientation. But we're hiring them as soon as we can before they go somewhere else.
So from the time you start that process, well, the process in the whole, I know you said you're speeding it up. What is that time frame? We talking 6 months or a month?
From the time we interview and the time we hire them, it's about 3 weeks average.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking at the numbers in our jail, could you kind of, something surprised me when I walked through the detention center a few weeks back. Could you kind of help explain to the other commissioners that maybe aren't aware, like what one of the, was it the rec room or something, like essentially the dorm room, how much housing is being eaten up and being needed up there? It was kind of an eye-opener for me, and I'm not doing justice trying to explain that to them. I'm hoping maybe you can explain the sleeping arrangements.
Yes, sir. On the tower cells, we have a rec room in between each pod. We're currently putting bunks in the day room to have a place for the inmates to sleep and stay.
Motion to approve.
I understand that the overcrowding issue. I guess the question that I have is relative to those that are being detained for pretrial, meaning they haven't even been sentenced yet. When you look at that, what is the level of, I guess, infractions that they've done? Are these people that could possibly be out until their trial? I'm just kind of curious about that, because the majority of the people that we house are pretrial.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's just kind of concerning.
Right. They're being held till they make bond. A lot of them can't make bond, or some of them have no bond. So we have to go through the judicial process to hold them before they go to court, and they give us orders to release them. And a couple of weeks ago, Tennessee Department of Correction came and got 12 state inmates, so that helped us a lot, getting those 12 to where they needed to be.
What are some of those charges that they've been charged with? I understand you saying they couldn't make bond or whatever. What do those charges range from?
They can range
that they're being held for?
Yes, they can range from a DUI, domestic violence, drug charges, rape, murder. It's a wide range of charges that they're in there for.
I have a motion down here for approval, I believe, and we have a second here. Further discussion? All those in favor of approval of the report?
Aye.
Those opposed? Report has been approved. I believe you have 2 budget amendments?
Yes, sir. This amendment is being requested for the 2024 Justice Assistant Grant Award that is allocated equally to the city of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County from the Edward Byron Memorial JAG Local Allocations Grant. Funds from this allocation would be used to purchase a state-of-the-art firearm simulator. This equipment would be used to implement training technology that enhances of officers' skills and preparedness. It will offer realistic and dynamic scenarios for the firearms training, decision-making, and crisis management. The grant allocation does not require match. We're requesting to accept the $30,978 and place into our law enforcement equipment.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes,
Thank you.
that one is approved. I believe you have a second one.
Yes, sir, thank you. This amendment is to recognize revenue and expenses for the unallocated balances for the financial year 22 Office of Justice Program Bureau of Justice Assistance Grant, the body-worn camera. It is utilized remaining funds to purchase 20 more body-worn cameras for patrol plus 9 months of cloud services. This is a 50-50 match, current match. This is a final year of this award. It ends September 30th for 2025, requesting to take the $14,963 within the grant, $14,963 of unassigned fund balance and placed into our data processing equipment.
Heard the request. Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. You said this is the final year. Is this something that can be reapplied for, or?
Yes, ma'am. This is a grant that we've been operating off of the last 2 years. We just was approved last Thursday for a new grant that we just applied for 219 body-worn cameras.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Beverly? Yes. Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes,
Thank you.
it has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
All of our business, do we have any other business come before this group?
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to ask to begin discussions on some other issues that I've found. As you know, I've been working for the last couple of months going around to the various roll calls to various different departments and trying to make my round to as many as I can. And just with life and holidays and everything else, haven't been around to everybody yet. So I'd like to try to get some more help to try to speed this along and get some of these other, what I think are elements that we need to address and pay attention to. And I wrote down some of them because I just want to see what we can put together. I'm wanting to start talking about realistic fixing and changing some of the potential problems that we might have in our benefit packages. For example, our insurance. I'd like to see what it would cost as far as giving our employees better options or more options, something to choose from, whether it's going to the state plan like our teachers did a few years back, or adding a Blue Cross Blue Shield, or looking for other companies out there that and sending out. We don't know until we send out and get the numbers if it's viable, but I'd like to start looking and finding out what we have. In addition to that, with insurance, the idea of finding out what the cost would be to allow spouses and their families back on the plans. We stopped that several years back, this county did, and it might go a long way with our retention as well. But up to and including some other things like what Laverne City does with their insurance, where they pay the premiums and they pay the cost. How much would that cost us to cover? Is it viable? Is it an option to consider? I want to be able to tell these guys that we at least looked at it and found the answers. Even if it turned out to be it's way too expensive. I need a number. I'd like to see what kind of funds we need to find. But there's more than just the insurance side of the argument we need to kind of begin talking about. We need to talk about adjusting longevity pay. $25 a year doesn't seem, in my opinion, it seems a little bit more offensive than it seems actually as a courtesy or as a thank you for longevity pay. I'd like to see what it would take to do something like a half a year salary or half a month salary, one-time bonus check as a separate check, so now it doesn't interrupt with their pay or their overtime pay, but it's separated, and then a printed check at that. I got that feedback from Mr. Gregory at PAWS, being able to have the supervisor hand it to the employee, their check, their longevity pay, saying thank you for being with us, for staying the time. And just something like that, some kind of adjustment. I'd love to hear feedback on what the cost actually will come out to be, what other fellow commissioners might be able to come out better plans and actions in this. I'm worried about when, especially in our public safety, when these guys go to retire, try to get 25 and 30 years, you know, can they make it that distance? Can they keep their knees? Are they going to tear their shoulders? Like, to figure out what options are there, is there viable options or anything? But I'm concerned about the long game on that. I'm worried about, because I talked with these guys for several months now and hearing about the STEP plan, is it as good as it appears on paper? I haven't seen or truly understood what I've seen of the formula, how you can go promoted, go up a step, but go backwards 2 steps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, kind of back and forth. It plays with it. Are you really getting a promotion, or are you really taking a step backwards? And I'd like to kind of work and tweak that better and find something that will work a little bit better for a lot of these than what it appears to be working. I'd also like to consider the idea on the physical readiness aspect, especially in our public safety. Our sheriffs, our firemen, they have to maintain a certain level of physical readiness to perform the task. Do we offer, have we reached out to the Gold's Gym or local gyms to see any kind of package deal we can work with them when they're on duty and having to work out to maintain their workout plan? Is that a policy issue that they're not covered if they tear a rotator cuff or, sprain an ankle as they're trying to just maintain their health and service and ready to perform the duty that we ask them to perform? So I think we need to work on that as well. And one thing I'm worried about, even with the personnel, with so many of the departments only a few people short, and our sheriff's is the heaviest shorthanded right now, but with the others, is I'm worried about the people's reliance on overtime. When we are fully staffed, when we are covering, and they're not required to do the extra shifts, they're going to feel that last loss of overtime as if it was a pay cut, because they're becoming so used and dependent on, we're becoming dependent on them, using them in their overtime hours, and they're becoming dependent on that overtime paycheck. So they're, in my opinion, they're torn between the idea of it's great to have the extra free time at home to go live my life that I'm working so hard to have, but now I can't afford it because I got reliant on the overtime pay. So these are some questions that I've come up with, and I'm about a month early from preparing myself for asking these, but I wanted to go ahead and bring it up and ask for this body to start beginning the talks of it. And in order to do that, we need to see some numbers, or realistic numbers, for what any of these or all of these would be. And so I guess I'd end up making a motion, if I can muddle through it, of asking our various department heads, finance director, HR director, I guess maybe risk management director, to see if they can help put together some numbers and some projections to see what we can pull, what it would take to pull some of these or all of these off this budget year, to see what we can realistically come up with and come back with us with the numbers to kind of tweak and see what we need to work on, what we need to focus towards. So maybe we have real time, real numbers to present during this budget cycle to hopefully fix the other areas of what I see as an issue of retaining and maintaining our employees. So that is my motion, sir.
Motion. Second, I think.
I'll second that, leaving no stone unturned.
Well, it's about finding the numbers to actually open the negotiation or the debate to figure out what our real options are. And that's what it's about.
Hey, I'm glad. Let's start a discussion. But to clarify, I guess, would you, and I'm happy to second, would you clarify when you want us to come back and do next month? You're asking for department heads and who, just to make sure everybody knows. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking from HR's direction, from our finance director direction, and maybe risk management with the insurance aspect of it, to see, because I'm looking at the policy for while they're maintaining physical readiness versus the pay adjustments for longevity pay versus the insurance, looking at what the cost of insurance options would become. And so, yeah, I guess at least those three. And as far as, I would like to see, personally, but I'd like to hear y'all's debate on that. I'd like to see some kind of working start in January so that we can kind of rebuttal and ask questions and put other ideas together. We have time to put other questions other than just what I've scribbled down to present for February so we can still make the budget cycle.
Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, are you asking these department heads or directors to come to us with this data, or are you expecting a report? If they appear, so there's some Q&A.
I'm just kind of asking them to feed us as best they can these numbers to see what it would take for us to pull any of this off, to do any of these, to see. Because it's easy to say we would love to give you, ABC, but if we don't know the numbers that reflect that, then we're just spitting in the wind. So I'd like to see numbers to see, okay, now I know how much I need to go find. So if it says I need $1 million, I need to go talk to the finance director to find, okay, we have this much money that we could probably pool. Okay, so now we can only do this one. You can't eat the whole elephant at once, but what bite do we take? How can we take the bite? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for help to gather the information that we need in order to make that decision so that we can start moving this ball and fixing more than just like a base pay, or more than just the insurance, or more, so that eventually we can get the whole thing setting up.
Thank you.
Mr. My answer to that is you are going to have to find those numbers through those individuals, through HR, through finance, and go through them to find out exactly what we're talking about. You're also going to have to go through Mr. Elam, too, as far as the insurance concerned. Also, who is going to go out and seek these numbers? Who will be seeking these numbers?
Well, that's where I was asking for if they would give us these numbers, give us the ideas, these people, these department heads on that. I mean, I'm looking for it, but I don't, it's kind of, you Google one thing or whatever, find a random number, you don't know it by the point you get down that rabbit hole if that's the right number you're looking at or what. So if they can help, I'm looking for the direction, looking for the basic answers of it, and I'm thinking that this whole body could use that.
I know you've come up with the questions and whatever, but I just wondered, had you talked to any of the departments about these?
I'd been talking to the other departments, starting, sheriffs, our fire, our EMS, and so forth, gathering it. But no, I've
talked to those departments, such as HR, finance, and any of those that might could give you some of those answers where we are there or what?
No, that's where I need the help to get that going, and I wanted to get more heads kind of asking and looking at some of these extra numbers, or seeing if anything to open up the debate and deliberation of these topics and others that y'all come up with, to see what we can find to put together and present, and hopefully present in a time to make something happen for the budget cycle.
Well,
that was my question. That's why I was wondering, did you want them to come to us with this information for a Q&A, or I was curious how we were going to gather this data, because I'm sure they have the data, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. How do you want us to assist in gathering the data?
I guess I'm not thinking about them coming up here presenting the data. I'm thinking of them more or less getting it to us, maybe emailing it, putting it to a box or something, so we can start navigating. So sometime after next month, we can start going, okay, this will work, this won't work, and then we can talk about how this will work, how this won't work. And so, yes, it's kind of what I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping to get them to start pulling the numbers of where we don't know where to ask. We've all got the day jobs, we've all got the other responsibilities, so chasing the tail all day, every day, I have to delegate and rely on the departments to help me figure some of that out. So I'm asking, by way of asking this, I'm asking to get that started, but also to get all of us involved in getting that started, to get all of us looking at this as a whole so that when we get some of these numbers, and if it's not feasible or doable, it's not feasible or doable. But I don't
I'm not
know
saying
that.
not feasible, I'm just saying, how would you, there is a question about how we do it, and what happens, you'll end up, like you said right there, chasing one direction and going another direction. If you've got, like you got right here, 7 individuals, you got 7 different people, you got 7 people might be asking the same question over and over and coming up with same answer. And that's why you go about setting up a committee to do these things and discuss these things. And you also have other committees out here that's possibly related in the same situation, as well as us. We just got through with the increase in the working with the salary there. And that went about in several different directions when that happened. So now we're talking about insurance and retirement and things of those type. That's why I was asking, where do we find the information? You got the questions, done a good job of going out there and finding the questions. Now you got to come and find those answers. And to do that, you're going to have to go to where those answers are located and go that direction. Any suggestions from the rest of the committee? I mean, that's where I'm at with this, so.
Well, in my mind, going on 8 years into this, I guess, I'm a county commissioner just like everybody else in here. If I have a question, something that involves HR, I go see Sonia. I've got her number, and I've met with her several times. If I have a question about insurance, and Mr. James, I think you said reinstating spouses and families. The insurance only kicked off spouses that had insurance available through their employer. The kids and family had nothing to do with it. They're still covered. But if I had a question with insurance, I call Ed Elam, and I would set up a time to meet with him, get my answers. And if the answer that I get warrants coming to the entire committee and having that discussion, then I would do that. The very first person I'd probably go to is the mayor, and let the mayor tell what he's working on, what his agenda is when it comes to all this. But I agree with Chairman Reed. You're a commissioner, and every department head, as far as I know, would oblige you with the information and try to answer your questions. And then you can compile the findings and come back and say, here's what they all said, here's what I would like to do, and then we could have that discussion. The department heads, and even the sheriff, because he's not a department head, he don't answer to anybody but the public. If the department heads are busy, very busy, they'll take time to sit down with the commissioner. And I just think that's, if I were to do it, that's the first thing I would do. Instead of, let's get every department head up here. It's going to be a special call meeting that'll last hours. They don't have that much time, and we pay for their time. But if you meet with them, they will give you the answers and help you with the questions. I think I repeated what the chairman said, but in a little bit different way. But if it were me, I'd go to the mayor first, because there are things that he's working on that we may not know about. And he could share that information and cut your workload in half. I'm doing this, I'm planning on this, or this is what's in place. Even the finance director, if you call Michael, he'll set up a meeting and answer anything financial-wise that you want to ask. And let me tell you, that guy's he's a brain. He's just a walking brain when it comes to numbers and money, finances. So, again, that'd be the route I would take, but to have us as a body request this from all these departments, I'm not opposed to it, only in the fact that I think it's a good idea, it's a great idea, great questions. Going through this committee to approve it is the wrong route. Thank you.
Okay, you currently have a motion, you currently have a second.
Well, I know what you're saying, and I do go out to different departments from time to time with questions. I was trying to stir y'all's motivation to come with me on this, to try to get this rolling. At the same time, help with it. It's a heavy lifting and the time to go through to help take an issue and go. But I understand you're saying and noted. At this point, I guess it sounds like, in y'all's opinion, wrong approach. So I'd like to withdraw my motion.
Motion withdrawn. Withdraw your second. But I'm going to say, don't give up in what you're doing. But I'd say go in a direction that you've got questions, now look for answers. That might be the direction to go. Any other discussion? If not, we're adjourned.